Değerli misafirler, kıymetli
Distinguished guests, dear participants, welcome all on behalf of Saha Istanbul 2026. Now, we would like to invite Mr. Mehmet Nefes as the moderator. We will be talking about smart and autonomous space systems. Welcome all. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Mehmet, our moderator, onto the stage to start the session. Thank you very much, first of all. In terms of international aerospace, we are gathered here in Saha 2026. We will be talking about space ecosystem, and we have distinguished directors from very distinguished companies in aerospace. And we will be talking about the satellite technologies, the transformation in satellite technologies, and global trends. Let me introduce myself first, and then I will give the floor to my panelists to introduce themselves and their companies. My name is Mehmet Nefes, TÜBİTAK Space Institute manager, and I'm also a board member in the Space Agency of Turkey. Before TÜBİTAK, I worked at TürkSat, and the first all communication satellites sent by Turkey to the space. I worked in all the missions, and thankfully I am one of the luckiest people in our country to work in these projects. Image 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we are working on them. And in the new space program, the moon mission, space shuttle, we are still working on. And of course, we are in every part of the chain in the ecosystem of space, and we are in interaction with all the companies and institutions working in that sense. With TUSAŞ, we are also working with TürkSat. So I would like to welcome you all. We have 1 hour, and with our distinguished panelists, we will be talking about the developments in Turkey and the world, about smart systems, AI, autonomous systems, and security perspective. Now I would like to give the floor to Hasan Hüseyin Ertok from Fergani Space. Let's hear you introduce yourself and your company. Welcome all. Here, it is an honor to be with you at Saha 2026. I've been in the space sector for about 20 years, and many of that time was spent in TürkSat, and I've been the general manager of Fergani. And in 2002, Fergani was established as a startup, and now we have exceeded this beginning, and now we have over 130 employees, and navigation, communication, and LEO system establishment, and the test satellites, and we are working on going to team satellites, and hopefully we will have in 2 years the mass production. And hopefully from a near orbit satellite services we will provide in a short time. That was a brief introduction. Now we have Mr. Selman Demiral. Hello, welcome all. I am the Deputy General Manager in TürkSat. It is an honor for me to be here with this valuable participants. And I've been in the sector for about 20 years. Why 20 years? Because we started at the same time, you know. We started with the background of TürkSat, so we are proud of it. We are proud of our background. I believe a lot of us in this room We started with the beginning of the space adventure of Turkey itself. So hopefully, as best as we can, we try to advance in this area. And we all know each other. We are a part of an ecosystem. We take our different roles, and Turksat is the operator side of this sector, and we have six communication satellites at the moment, and Turksat is on the side of communication here, and the observation is a whole another dynamic. And Göktürk IMECE satellites are on that side. We are on the geo side. So we have on three different orbits, we have six different satellites in a very wide geography. We provide the communication services.
Koordinasyon olmadı galiba. Mikrofonu ben açtım, sizinki kapandı.
I think I shut down your microphone when I turned mine on. I am the Deputy General Manager of TUSAŞ Space Systems. My name is Onur Tarakçıoğlu. Yes, I was going to talk about the 20 years. I believe a lot of us are coming from the same background in that sense. Maybe for the younger audience members, I can say that the space sector industry is about 20 plus years old. So that's why it's a reference point for many of us. So when you think about Turksat, TÜBİTAK Space and TUSAŞ Space, we basically have a background of around 20 years. And in TUSAŞ, everyone follows it in Turkey. We have about 20,000. We have a hub in this industry. I think our turnover is about 30,000 people coming and going to our hub, and hopefully in the space sector we will continue supporting our country. We work with TÜBİTAK Space and Aselsan, and we provided services for Turksat. And at the same time, the main integrator and test systems responsible is still us, and we are hosting the test services, test centers, and this is investment by the state, and with the important contributions and investments from Turksat again. And we are the main contractors for many of the important projects in this sector, and also hopefully we will launch Hürsat, a satellite platform. The contract is ready for the launch and the production is ongoing. And for people, for our visitors that come to TUSAŞ, we are displaying them our production process as well. And also we are continuing our, we are serving as a door that opens abroad in terms of export. We are trying to be a flag carrier in that sense. And generally speaking, I think this will be enough for an introduction, and I give the floor back to our moderator. Before moving on to the first question, I want to thank Saha Expo. Saha every 2 years is organized, and especially in defense area, it's a critical and important expo, and activities specific to space as well is supported by Saha, and it is reflected on the expo itself, the space pavilion and the booths that are representing the companies from the space sector. I think this is a really great organization. And in Antalya, this year we will have the ISC 2026. And Saha, in connection with Uzay ESE, they will be hosting this event, and we are all waiting for you to join us in Antalya. in that events as well. Hasan Hüseyin Bey, let's start with you. You said Fergani is a new space player, and you have big plans. You have sent some satellites. They are working now. They are successful. And how do you differentiate yourself as Fergani in niche areas? Where do you see yourself in the competition?
Evet, teşekkür ederim.
Thank you very much. So, for a long time in my career, I was working in Turksat, which is a public capital company. And now I'm in the private sector, so I experienced the difference between these two. And when we look at Turksat example, for example, Turksat is earning its own money and it's investing this money, so it is a little bit closer to the private sector rather than the public sector. But the TÜBİTAK Space or other public institutions, in these structures, the projects are usually going in a very structured line, and they are making sure that the public support goes to the right ends. And because of that, it takes longer to complete projects on the public side. So in recent years, especially with this new concept of new space, this kind of started to change, especially in the near orbit constellation satellite developments. You have to be much faster, you have to test it faster, you have to renew it faster, etc. So as Fergani Space, our biggest difference is lying in there, and we are a completely private company. Is also in association with Baykar, and the decision-making processes go really fast. We have a really fast-paced manner when we are working there, and of course there is a big investment going in. So that's why, along with the biggest investment, the decision-making is also fast-paced. So this is one of the biggest pluses that we have. And there is a difference in the approach as well that comes with the new space approach. So when we launched our test satellites in 2025 January, there is also 200 kilogram transfer vehicle that was sent to the space, to the orbit. And so basically we have 5 different vehicles right now, and we also have another 2 planned for this year, and also for the next year we have another 2 that we are planning right now. So you can see how fast-paced everything is working, and we are trying to make sure that we do the testing in a fast-paced manner again. And basically the public institution or the institutions or companies that use the public funding or public support, this is what we distinguish from them. And we have a very young team. The average age is around 26, and we have a big team of engineers, and also they are working harder, they are working much more, and also this creates a difference there, because the more you work, the more you pay attention, the more products you have in your hands, and this is another point of differentiation. So basically I can mention these, and we are in a fast-paced technological advancement period right now. Maybe 10 years ago, when we were in Turksat, for example, we were always trying to be, like every step we take has to be correct, and that would take us a long time to carry out any of the projects. But now, like I said, the biggest difference is in the pace of the projects. And now we can verify our results again really fast. And in our previous satellites, for example, the components that we bought from the other countries, we are trying to make sure that we produce them locally, domestically, and also this brings some kind of sovereignty or independence from other countries in terms of the components that you buy. And of course, this allows us to decrease the costs as well. So we have to be focusing more on that, domestic production of the components. But I think the main difference, if I were to summarize it, would be how fast everything works. Yes, really, speed is everything right now. It's really important when we look around, especially in terms of the defense doctrine. Speed is everything, and of course, as a representative of the public side, I know how important it is, how valuable it is to have a test satellite as well. And like you said, we are kind of moving with less risk. Like you mentioned, it is a little bit lesser of a pace that we work on our projects, but congratulations on all your work. Now I am moving to Mr. Salman, the near orbit satellites. Hussein Bey also mentioned that. OneWeb and LEO constellation satellites. They are actually similar to Turksat services as well. They are promising the similar services. They are not really active in our country right now, but with the how would you position yourself, or how do you position yourself in this competition? And the geo communication satellites, for example, do you think they will be able to protect their positions in the future as well? The low altitude satellites created a lot of competition in the market, and the geo systems, they were kind of considered or positioned as alternatives to geo, but the dynamics are a little bit different. As Turksat, uh, we are providing public services, but also we are a commercial company. So our priority is to ensure the safety of the public by providing them with the systems, satellite systems for communication. And the strategic part is also important. We have to underline that. In any country in the world right now, there's no country, LEO satellites are expected to be used, or they don't want them to be used. And people ask us, why do you need LEO, or under what circumstances, what conditions, or for what needs do you use the LEO satellites? And let me be clear, Turksat has 6 satellites on the orbit right now. TV broadcasting and communication services we provide with them. And on the data side, there is nothing that LEO can provide and we can't, but there is a difference, in latency, for example, the physical conditions, and also speed is a little bit, they can go up to more, but the SLA and, which is the trustworthy and demanded services by the clients, for example, we guarantee that we can provide the speeds. But in the low orbit satellites, these are more dependent on the best effort. So if you look at this as a pool, as the capacity, the more users you have in the pool, the more speed capacity comes into play. So in the best effort, whatever your share is, you actually can use that. So if there is no user, you can increase the speed to 200 megabits or more. But if there are many users, maybe you cannot even reach that speed. So in that kind of a comparison, Leo is always on a side where we can guarantee a level of speed. And we are not really seeing them as the competitors, because they are a little bit more towards the end users. As Turksat, we are more focused on two dynamics that we have. Of course, in a safe way to provide the public with the service, and also in the international market, on the international market, for we are targeting also new markets. And you probably heard about it, especially in the aviation sector. We have done a lot of new initiatives. And AJet, which is connected to Turkish Airlines. In AJet, for example, TürkSat will be providing the in-plane internet. And we tested it recently, and 96 megabit will be provided. This is what we tested, this is what we measured on air, and I'm proud to say this. And AJet, despite being a low-cost carrier, they are going to start a service that is above and beyond what Turkish Airlines provide. And it is not just about the capacity, but portals, ISPC, and all the billing services, etc. They are all done by TürkSat. And it is a new technology. It is a safe technology. It's a new sector that we are trying to play, and almost like the EV or electric cars, it is a new thing that comes into our lives. And as TürkSat, we believe we are positioning ourselves in the correct way, but there is no licensing at the moment in Turkey, only because of security reasons. Our regulation institution, BTK, is carrying out really diligent work, and they are looking at all the dynamics, and it is a strategic topic as well. So at the end of the day, these technologies, we are always supporting them for coming to our country, and as TürkSat, we are always in cooperation with LEO satellites as well. So the most important thing is to know that what we are using, how it should be used, regulation should be clear, and the interest of the public should be at the high utmost levels.
Güvenlikle ilgili de doğru bu noktaya.
So you also touched to a very right point about about security. Having your own satellite as a nation is very much important. In TürkSat, 6A is our first communication satellite, and TürkSat is using it too, and it's giving service to other areas which they didn't comprise to. And I would like to ask you, to Mr. Salman, a question. With TürkSat 7A and 7B, we have been talking about LEO. You have been talking about GEO as well. Safety and security is very much important, 7A and 7B. I'm sure our audience are very curious about this, so what about them? Yes, Mr. Mehmet talked about a very important thing. After 6A, what will happen was in the agenda. So we have 3.5 more satellites because the qualification and finally the flight models. Everybody has paid their efforts, and there's a great amount of engineering knowledge. So we are very proud of that. We reached up to a certain point, and I'm sure that you have heard it perhaps. It starts with the research and development satellite, but right now commercially TürkSat is earning from this. We have made our first sales in Sri Lanka, and they are making broadcasting over it. And it's not only about research and development, but also commercial level. It definitely has made another actually success here. It achieved the possibility to export it. So you're using it for another time, and this is going to be how the cycle is going to go through. So as on Turkey, I said they are all us, of course. We are going to create a sector. We are going to make the commerce of this, and our shareholders are going to continue working on them too. This is how we are going to grow. The next motivation is TürkSat 7A and 7B. Now this is no longer a research and development project. They have to be commercially sold. The RFI studies have been passed, and TÜBİTAK Space and TAGİ Aselsan, from them we have accumulated the solutions. The client is ready. Now we are expecting 70% of a fullness in our satellites. The unmanned UVE, etc., they are very much used, and we are also targeting their broadcasting as well. TürkSat 3A satellites replacement is also another reflection to it. TürkSat 6A has a great amount of AKU exertion, and because it's going to take its place, especially in the eastern side, there will be a great amount of broadcasting in the eastern side. New technologies that are definitely going to be used. There are modular dynamic payload designs that we wanted to have. While you're making a new satellite, of course, the sector is going to develop itself. And from over TÜBİTAK again, the RFIs are already being sent. We have assessed them. Next month we're going to work on it, and we will start a new adventure and achievement, I hope. Okay. So there's also something else that I would like to say about AJet. The free Wi-Fi code should be necessary, I guess. Yes, of course, that's wonderful to have such a connection. But then again, these services have started to be given, and I believe that they're working really well as an end user. I have tested it, and I'm very happy about that. TürkSat 6A, those who are producing as TÜBİTAK, TUSAŞ, SIMTEK. We are awaiting 7A and 7B eagerly, because it's going to really strengthen the fleet. And the same 6A has the team of Seoul, of course. Ergani can also be involved in this ecosystem. As TÜBİTAK Space, new companies are also getting involved in it. If it's going to be in a year, we can do it. But if it's going to be longer, then we're not involved. And Mr. Sardar was talking about the seamless service. We are taking notes of this. As for national satellite parties, I really would like to work. What's important here is, in this ecosystem, it's not only TÜBİTAK, Ergani, Aselsan. They are not the only ones, of course. Apart from these companies, we wish the private sector to be involved in this environment as well. The more companies are interested, then they are more than welcome to be supported. Now, think that whoever is going to make a contribution, they are important for us, and we really would like to grow this up and make it bigger. So there is a dynamism here. Starting up from a bolt up until its different spare parts, they are of course, supplying companies are being supported. But there's a really big ecosystem in behind, and the more it's broadened, it's going to be our greatest motivation. Let's go further. What's the role of the space in the new generation conflicts? Well, in Iran and in Israel war, we have seen it. It's not always possible to have your planes all around. We have wonderful fleets. And I remember in Ankara, in Etimeskut, in the airport, we were making EDEVs. And in the hippodrome, there were also a lot of things that we have worked, but it was years and years ago, so we have really, there has been a real change. But today's warfare show us that you cannot fly a plane anywhere, anytime. It's not easy even for the states. It's risky. Then we see here in
uzay artık
the space is now a power factor.
dolayısıyla eğer
That's why
bir bölgesel güç, bir
if
küresel güç ise
if you're a global power, then you definitely have to have a place in space. It not only can be done with satellites, but we need to do it with sensors or triggers.
aslında biz
That's why
yani mümkün mertebe uçakta, helikopterde, insansız hava
we
araçlarında
try to, when we talk about
ilerlemek istiyoruz. Bununla ilgili
space, we want to really develop our paradigms in that manner.
bunu almaktan çok
I'm
memnunum.
always very happy to name them TÜBİTAK, Aselsan, and hopefully with Fergani.
Dolayısıyla
We will be working together. Actually, the paradigm
yıllarda değişti.
has changed
Bu şeyden eskalasyonla
with the recent escalation.
daha da değişti.
It even changed more.
Hepimiz gördük ki
So we all see that
uydu uçurmak zorundasın.
if you cannot fly the plane, then
Ya da hedef
you should have a satellite there. You need to
etkinin teşhisine kadar
determine the target, and it's just you have to check the destruction. That's the reason why there's a lot of things to be done together.
bunun da önemli tabii boyutları var.
Indeed, it has important fractures as well, facts as well.
Zamansal çözünürlüğü yakalayamıyoruz. Yani bir uydunun şu an örnek veriyorum.
Well, let's say that 5 or 10 hours later, if your satellite is passing, that's too late, or you need to actually have satellites that can pass really fast. So space is going to reshape itself within the context of defense. And as for series production of lower cost sensors are going to be made. This is what we are working on.
Yapay zeka
Apart from that, AI is,
yapay zeka dediğimizde
has become very prominent, as we all know.
belli modeller falan geliyor.
When we talk about AI, we only thought about ChatGPT, and so ChatGPT has become a revolution. But on the other hand, we're seeing that a lot of different changes have been made in AI as well, which are also used in different platforms. The onboard processing and AI has to be moved to space as well. There are works that we are doing about it. And on a time-based solution, you have satellites that are passing in a regular amount of hours, and they are collecting data. You have to convert them to a meaningful data as well. And of course, as a human, we are limited, and we cannot do it. And apart from being in the loop, we have to be man on the loop. So we definitely have to develop some certain support mechanisms as well. These are the paradigm changes that we are doing now. As I said, space is not only a scientific exploring area, it's also a battle place. And our rules is very much important for our defense as well. Fergani is actually an affiliate of Baykar, and we all know the advantages of Baykar. Does Fergani also have plans to go for abroad? What do you think about this as Fergani? Thank you very much. And when you have a system in a near orbit system, then you have actually cluster because of the orbit. There is 90%, 95% of the The population is generally living in the northern hemisphere, as we know, and we need to have a global system here. That global system has to be converted into an investment and money. That is the reality. The and $100 million of potential users are there. You have to reach to them. Basically, with the LEO constellation satellites, what is the question mark here? Economic sustainability, of course, is the most important thing. And basically, if you would ask us a decade ago, nobody could actually tell you that Starlink was going to be successful. We would not find it a reality, because that was the case in those times, and there were a lot of unsuccessful experiences as well. So for the time being, the most important problem is this: economically, we need to be sustainable. Starlink has come up to a certain point, but its competitors is not at that level. There are new companies that are investing, and they have actually a real important study for feasibility as well. This is valid for us as well. Now we have we want to have a constellation satellite system for about 251. So what we want to do is to make navigational services, but then you have another bottleneck. The navigation area is actually an area nobody is earning money. So you need to change here. You need to be a different than normal. That's actually a second bottleneck. And you need to have good business plans, which is also an area we are working hardly. And the GSS systems have also some certain bottlenecks, some challenges. And from near orbit systems, we can have a robust approach, and that's the reason why we chose this one. And I believe that this is a positive aspect. This has not been actually given as a service by LEO right now. But in the last 5 years, in particular in the United States, there are a certain amount of companies. There are developments in China, in Turkey, there is us. In Europe, Elsan is doing something. So in the next coming 5 years, we are going to see these constellation satellite systems in the next coming 5 years. So they are dominating the world. This is going to dominate the world. And people will understand maybe 5 years later that that was a good investment. I believe, on the other hand, there are other bottlenecks as well. The regulations. When you're going to give service to the world, of course, you need to get approval from the countries. That's also valid for the communication, for navigation as well. And we need to go on forward for these processes as well. We need to have a really serious market movement. And the global market rule is that you should decrease the cost and be fast. So our unit cost of our satellites need to be reduced, and that's the reason why they are kept at a certain volume. And we try to actually decrease the production and launching costs, because they are all very expensive. And ground station, there are important navigations, and you need to have really big ground stations all around the world. So the most important bottleneck is the economic sustainability. But then again, even though we are using the power of Baykar, it's not going to be forever. But we have to actually earn money, and with the money that we earn, we need to do the second generation and third generation of these processes, because every 5 years you need to renew these constellation satellites. So until you already start making a new one, the old one, even though it's 3 years old, it became old. So you need to pass on to a new step. So when you're doing one work, people are expecting you 2 extra works the next time. And design, you need to change yourself. There's a very dynamic process, and uh, you need to really abide by those rules. And when you can do it, and when you have a certain potential of clients, later on you grow exponentially. Not everything, there are also strategic things as well, not only financial, of course, but in the end of the day, we need funding, the cost should be sustainable. I believe this is the largest bottleneck. So sustainability is an important aspect, as we know. But just like in Baykar and its success in the drone systems, I believe that you are going to be very successful as well. And Mr. Salman, let's continue with you. The space economy is growing each and every day. The average growing rate is high compared to the other industries. Uh, it is growing by 8%. So there's a 600 billion dollars of growth, which is going to be $1 trillion perhaps next year. And you have become, your turnover has rise, the models are changing, your business models are changing. And what type of new business models do you bring? On the TV models, what are the added values that you plan to do? As an economic system, there's a great spring, I can say. The dimension is growing, but this is a difficult sector on the other side. So the producers standing alone here is not very easy, and of course the costs are rising. And in SS Intelsat 2 there has been actually unification, and a 50 fleet of 50 devices, satellites have been made. So I guess that there is a serious amount of circulation here. In order to survive as Turksat, of course, definitely necessitates new markets. It's not only about TV broadcasting or being in a similar kind of a business. In TV broadcasting, is on the other hand, the dynamic is changed. There are IPTVs, different types of applications. And we have already foreseen it in the past. But then, as we converted to everything from broadcasting to data, that was a great spring that we have made. And the public and data services that we have given previously domestically, we have opened this up. The K-band in 5G has also been started to be implemented, so it's became a great, actually, service. And many countries and abroad were giving the data services. But as I told you before, in aviation, the opening that we have made in aviation, in-flight connectivity, is going through a change. Until 2028, there will be a period of time that is expected, and I believe as Turksat we have used that time properly. We have did POCs, we have made tests, and the AG contracts have been made with 105 planes, and until this year I suppose we can reach up to 15-20 planes, and that there is a 5 years, in the 5 years period there will be, we can reach 120 and 150 planes.
And the important thing here is the airline companies and their speeds they are providing these services. Previously, for Turkish Airlines, this service was given by the operators. NSPs were providing the services, and Turkish Airlines directly, for the first time, started to get the service from Turksat as an operator, and they are demanding high speeds, and it is not like in the past, 3 megabits or 5 megabits. Now they are considering 20. So the sector is going in this direction, and the content and the different platforms on plane, we will be seeing them, and maybe Netflix or the live TVs, etc. These types of speeds that are required by these platforms or different services are going to be demanded and needed. And with our shareholders, we are trying to provide a global service. So we created the dynamics for that, the Airbus and Airbus catalogs we are trying to enter, and also on the Turkish Airlines side, we are also working with the TSI, and the next step would be this for us, where we grow as Turksat. And also in the sector, just like you mentioned before, the low orbit satellites are coming into play, and especially there is going to be a competition on the, especially on the end user side, and the terminal costs will be important here. The lower cost terminals you have on the user side, you would be more competitive. The more competitive you become. So this ecosystem is not at the level that we want at the moment, and the consumers, they cannot really provide us with the terminal options that we would want to see at this moment. But the Starlink, Amazon, etc., it goes for them as well. The low-cost terminals and connecting their users with these terminals. That is what they are working for, and as Turksat we are working on that too, for disaster management, for military services, for mobile, for naval vehicles, etc. There are different types of vessels, terminals, sorry, and we want to bring them together with low costs. That's how we are trying to increase our competition level, and so the cost will be the most important thing that we need to tackle. The producers that you mentioned are the terminal producers or manufacturers, I believe. Yes. So Onur Bey, commercial space economy structure, can you touch upon that? Because the other panelists also talked about it, but the commercial space ecosystem has a different atmosphere compared to 10 years ago, for example, and it also changes the security perspective of countries, and especially when you look at the current state of the world with the wars going on. How would you evaluate that topic?
Aslında mesele herhalde yani ulusal savunma
So
anlamında
in
bunu
case of a national defense is
bunu
not
ne
to
kadar
be
sürdürebiliriz?
hit or to hit.
Günümüzde
It's
Türkiye
about
kuruluşundan bu yana
sustainability, how you can
önemli silahlar
sustain
geliştirdi.
what you are doing. There
Bu
have been
ülkeler de
many
Türkiye'nin aslında
developments
bu
in
noktaya geldiğini
different
görebiliyoruz.
weapons, etc.
Bunun da bütün aslında
In
Türkiye'nin
any case,
sizlerle
what we
bahsettiğiniz
see is that the
çok
countries that can sustain their
sürdürülebilir değil.
systems
Yani finansal
could
olarak bu güce
actually be successful in what they try to do. So
çok uzay alanında
economic
ürün hala
sustainability is the
karşılaştığımız
important thing
diğer
here.
ülkelere göre
When you
pahalı.
compare the products in the
Bunlar
space
sistemler
industry
değil,
to other
geliştirilmiş
sectors or industries,
önemli
these are
insan kaynağı
expensive
yatırım
things. It
gerekiyor.
requires
Önemli
huge
altyapı gerekiyor.
investment in
Dünyada
infrastructure, in human
Türkiye'nin
resources, and
biraz
in
daha
the world,
çalışarak kendimize esnek
we
yaklaşıyoruz.
shouldn't always
Ama
criticize
Türkiye'nin geldiği
ourselves.
noktaya
So when
getirmiş
you talk about
10-15
Turkey,
tane
I think
ülke
we
var.
should take a look at the positive
Bu
side a
noktaya
little
yaklaşık
bit. I
25
think
yıllık bir
within
dönem olduğunu
a period of 20-25 years, we have
burada devletimize
reached this
ibadet
level that we have currently. So I think it is really a good thing that we are at this level currently. But financial sustainability is what we try to strive for, and the role is again falling on our shoulders, because on the side of the commercial
hep bahsetti aslında
on the commercial side, just like Hasan Hüseyin Bey mentioned, we have resources, but they are also limited. The public, the state, has these resources, but they are all limited. So at the end of the day, we have to turn our eyes towards the other countries as well to support this economy with exports as well. This is not a secret, of course, but I think it is one of the biggest challenges that we will face. And with common sense in this sector, when we try to manage that, hopefully we will tackle these challenges that come in our way as the Turkish space industry, let's say.
Bizden sonra bir program olmadığını ve 3 yılın açık olduğunu arkadaşlar teyit etti.
I know that we don't have any following panel, so I think we used our time efficiently as well, so we can get a couple questions from the audience if you have any.
Duyla da biliyor yani. Geliyor. Mikrofon geliyor.
Hello, thank you very much for your contributions. You give us courage by standing together in this area. I am a young person that is devoted to space studies, but designed to be service mentality, GEO and LEO satellites. They are always mentioned in that way, and the space service is a new market that is emerging. And for 7A and 7B, the fuel or upgrade in the hardware, etc., tag and play modular systems. Do you work on these things? I just wanted to get some information from you because I'm curious about this.
Direkt bir muhatabın var mı?
Do you direct this question to a specific person, or? No, I'm just asking generally in terms of space robotics and the services in space, what you do in this area. I'm just curious. I can say in terms of the service as Fergani Space, we also have a transfer vehicle, orbit transfer vehicle, along with our satellites, and the main purpose is to, after the launch of the satellites, within 500, 600 kilometers, to carry them to the 1,000 kilometer level. So it's like a pickup in space, so that's the main task. However many it can carry, maybe 8, 10. So it kind of carries them from 500 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers to the orbit. So it is just like a short-term task. And these types of tasks or missions, they are not grabbing anything in space and bringing it somewhere, but you are doing that on Earth, this carrying mission. So different orbits usage in space, for example, is also on the agenda. There are a lot of satellites now. You cannot really go beyond some level. For example, you need to have some dedicated satellites, etc. But with the vessels, the carrier vessels, in different orbits, different levels, you can provide these services. So as Fergani, this is this transfer vehicle that we work on. It's providing this type of service. I can give you that as an example. Space robotics is for Turksat, for example. It's a user, it's not the manufacturer, but it is more for like scientific missions or for specific missions. I believe robotics are being used, and in the moon mission, for example, on the second stage, maybe the space robotics with rovers, etc. It will come into our lives. So when we talk about commercial space or for satellites, it's a little bit of a limited area from the point of view of your question. But on my behalf, I can say that there are studies going on in that area as well, in TÜBİTAK and in ODTÜ, in Middle Eastern Technical University, and the International Space Station or similar uh, private companies. They are planning, of course, some things in terms of space robotics. Maybe some collaborations could be done. Like I said, now it's at its infancy on our side, let's say. Thank you very much. I have an experience in the European Space Agency, and now I'm working with the Space Office in United Nations. I am going to ask you about the background of the SN Moonlight program. I think Mr. Hassan referenced it. Lunar PNT initiations are also visible at this moment. So lunar frequencies are also being shared right now. Do you have any kind of work uh, for obtaining frequencies, for example? And for lunar PNT, do you think Turkey will have an opportunity to benefit from them? And is there anything like any kind of mechanisms on the political side or the regulation side? Do you have any idea about that? In terms of lunar PRT, we don't have any works on the way. We are working on the near orbit. GNSS band frequencies are used there, and we are considering using two of them. And as a new thing, we are considering using the C band. 520 megahertz kind of bandwidth is there. So we are also targeting using it as a C-band, and it was tested in the Galileo's first step, but then they gave up on using it. GNSS surfaces, they have even narrower bands. So with the current players, we are trying to find the frequencies where we can move along with them. So C-band we will have on our satellites. But in terms of lunar PNT, we haven't done any work. But we would, of course, like to go into more details and do some detailed work. I think the situation is not yet clear. I mean, it's not currently on our agenda, I can say. Any other questions? So if not, I would like to ask a question to all of our panelists for the closing session.
So a national space program has initiated in 2021, has a decade of a perspective. Some of them has realized, some of them are still on the way of implementing, like our first astronaut being sent to space and moon mission programs, human resources on space. And in the next coming 10 years, like 2030 to 40 perspective, in these 10 years, all these studies are still ongoing, and we are making our contribution to this as well. Within this context, for the years of 2030 and 40, what would be your proposals? What do you think about AEI or the autonomous system having its place in the next coming 10 years? The systems that we send to the space, of course, are becoming smart systems, and it has to be, as the numbers are rising, they have to be controlled as a network, and that's the reason why AI and autonomy has to be used in a proper manner. So this is how it goes right now in big companies as well.
Yoğun bir şekilde kullanıyoruz. Çok
And
daha
we are
yoğun kullanıyoruz.
using
Çok daha yoğun
space
kullanacağız. Zaten
a lot, and it's
baktığımızda
dealing with space, especially in the near orbit,
e, kısıtlar nedeniyle
due to its restrictions. Uh, Because of radiation after 1,200 kilometers away from the space, unfortunately these areas cannot be used, and that's the reason why we are going to be restricted in 400 or 500 kilometers, I suppose, and all the systems are going to be struck in there. The space is very big. There is a lot of actually waste, we say, but it's very big, and if we speed up like this, I believe that the space is going to be filled. And the most important restriction, of course, is the accession. So whatever we do, if we cannot send all these tools to space, then everything is void. There's not enough companies that can do it. Even SpaceX has made 120 and 30 launchings every day, a few times a day. Sometimes we are going to see that launches are going to happen. And on the other hand, we have to talk about the traffic management. Autonomy and AI is going to be very important here. And these systems are going to have to protect each other. The orchestration has to be done in a smooth and sound way. So it's going to be a hard mission. AI is going to be very much important in space in the future, I believe. Well, of course, we said that there's a great amount of speed going on here. Later on, we are going to be talking about how are we going to survive. There are thousands of satellites, their management, the launching systems, the LEOs, then we have the GEOs, how are we going to pass from LEO to GEO, and the space waste is going to be a problem for ourselves as well. So it's a different sector and everybody is talking about it. On the other hand, AI, well, we have actually a data operational system. What Leo thinks is that to have a cloud system that is in the space, a future like that is awaiting us. And these intelligence systems are going to be mandated here in these systems. The data is going to be received there and they're going to process there. And all the AIs that we see here right now on land is going to be used in space. What interests us here is that where are we using it? And especially in failure estimations, in failure predictions, we are going to use it. And we are also dwelling upon the fact on how we are going to predict the failures before it happens. Now there are also other areas of utilization. Here we need to find the optimum. It doesn't necessarily mean that in each case we have to use AI, but we are going to use it in a more optimal way. Actually, there are two concepts. One is autonomy, the other one is automation. These satellite systems are automation systems. Each scenario, each distribution of failure are determined, and we are making a routine for that. And according to that routine, we try to keep the satellites in operation. And maybe with the systems, or with reaching up to space, or with the serial production systems, it is not going to be very possible to model everything. And that's the reason why they're going to be converted into autonomous systems. The more the autonomous systems are coming up, each component in space is going to be an agent. After that happens, in the next process, they have to have a mission together in a cooperative way. Maybe this is something that we are going to be talking about. When we talk about these methods, it seems a little bit futuristic, but it's not, because we have seen the situation of AI and autonomy. China, in its 15th development plan, they are making 5 years of development plan. In the last development plan, they're talking about space ships, from spaceships to an early alarm or early emergency systems plans. That means that 5 years later, China, with these spacecrafts, can go to any part of the world and can actually intervene any kind of a conflict in any part of the world. So this is coming, I believe. Thank you.
Teşekkür ediyorum. Ben moderatör olarak da teşekkür
Thank you. I really enjoyed this panel.
aynı şekilde keyif aldığını düşünüyorum. Türkiye'nin güncel gücü ve kurumlarının uzay alanında
And I believe that these wonderful institutions are going to have a more voice in the future. Turkey is not a user, is but a proactive player. And I would like to thank all of the institutions' representatives, the staff as well, for their efforts. We have listened to wonderful ideas today, and thank you very much. I also would like to thank Mr. Moderator Mehmet, our panelists, and the audience. Before completing the day, would like to ask from Mr. Mehmet to deliver today's gifts. It's just for the token of remembrance. Then we'll have a photo shoot.
Bu da sizin hediyeniz. Teşekkür ederim. Rica ederim. Hasan Bey.